If this world were mine. That line, right? The start of Kendrick Lamar and SZA's Luther from this year. It just kind of hangs there.
It really does.
Makes you think, what would you do if you could actually, change everything?
Yeah, it's a huge question.
So today, we're not just going to let that float around. We're diving deep into this song because, okay, it sounds like a love song, maybe.
On the surface, yeah, definitely have that vibe.
But underneath, wow. There's this whole, complex network of ideas. It's intricate.
Absolutely. You get that R&B, feel that closeness.
Yeah.
But then you listen, really listen to the words. And these other things start bubbling up. Justice, resilience, even something kind of spiritual. It's way more complex than you first think.
Exactly. So that's our goal today. Let's get under the skin of Luther, explore the emotional world it paints, the cultural stuff it touches on, and figure out what Kendrick and SZA are really getting at. It's more than just a vibe, right? We want to know the why behind it.
Precisely. Yeah. Moving past just hearing it to really decoding what they put in there, the layers.
Okay, so let's start right there, the beginning. If this world were mine. Now, lots of people will catch that reference.
Oh, for sure. Luther Vandross, Cheryl Lynn, 1982. Classic.
Pure Velvet, that original.
Yeah.
Smooth, romantic, all about devotion.
Yeah.
So what happens when Kendrick and SZA use that line? What's the immediate, effect?
Well, the first thing that hits you is the contrast, right? It's so deliberate.
Yeah.
The original is all soft affection, that idealized romance.
Yeah.
Using that line, it's like they're nodding to that tradition.
Acknowledging it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they're taking that core idea, if this world were mine, for you,
Yeah.
and pumping it full of something
Different.
more urgent. It feels more like a declaration, a manifesto almost.
So they're saying, okay, we know that feeling.
But we're taking that word mine and applying it much wider.
Yeah.
Then the beat kicks in.
Right. And Kendrick's like, hey, Roman numeral 7, babe, drop it like it's hot. That's a pretty big shift.
It is. And that suddenness, that kind of jarring change, it hammers home that they're flipping the script on the original. It's a sound cue saying, look, this isn't going to be some smooth cover song.
Right.
We're going somewhere else, somewhere contemporary and layered.
And then we get those really intense lines. If this world was mine, I'd take your dreams and make them multiply. Okay, that fits. But then, if this world was mine, I'd take your enemies in front of God. Introduce them to that light. Hit them strictly with that fire. Whoa.
Yeah, whoa is right. Not your average Valentine's Day message.
Definitely not.
And this is where you really start seeing those deeper, more complex themes creep in. Taking enemies in front of God.
Yeah.
That points to something bigger than just personal revenge, doesn't it?
Like cosmic justice.
Kind of, yeah. Accountability on a higher level. And a light and fire imagery. That's so loaded.
Hit them strictly with that fire. It sounds almost biblical, Old Testament. When you say light and fire, is that just destruction? Or is there more?
That's a really good question. Because, yeah, fire can mean destruction, punishment. You see that a lot in religious texts. But it's also often about purification, cleansing, transformation, being tested by fire.
Okay.
So is this line about just wiping out enemies? Or is it about exposing them to some ultimate truth, that light, maybe forcing a kind of purification or letting divine judgment handle it? It adds this really interesting spiritual angle to dealing with conflict.
So less about personal anger and more about spiritual warfare almost, a reckoning.
Could be read that way, yeah. With consequences that might even be transformative. Then you get the chorus, it's a vibe, do your dance, let them watch. Seems like a change of pace after all that.
It does, yeah. It's an interesting contrast.
You've got these heavy ideas about dreams, enemies, God. And then this chorus comes in almost like a assertion of self amidst all that.
Yeah, things are heavy, but
we're still going to live. We're going to be ourselves, do our thing, and whoever doesn't like it can just watch. It's got this mix of personal power and maybe a little defiance.
Then SZA comes in, and her verse. The imagery is stunning. In this world, concrete flowers grow, heartache, she only doing what she know. That concrete flowers bit.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that powerful? Concrete flowers. You instantly picture it. Something beautiful, delicate, pushing up through, concrete. Something hard, unforgiving.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes about resilience, right? But also maybe something a little unnatural about having to be that tough just to survive, to bloom. It's defiant beauty against the odds.
And the next line, heartache, she only doing what she know, feels tied right into that, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It suggests that the way people act, even if it seems harsh or difficult, it often comes from surviving past pain. Learned behavior.
Coping mechanisms.
Exactly. If you've been through a lot of heartache, you build walls, you react in certain ways
Yeah.
because that's what you had to do.
Yeah.
That line has real empathy in it, I think. Understanding where that behavior comes from. Very human.
It made me think, wasn't there another artist who used similar imagery?
You're probably thinking of Tupac.
Yes. The rose that grew from concrete?
That's it. It's a powerful recurring theme, isn't it?
Uh,
Finding beauty and strength in tough places, especially urban environments. SZA is definitely tapping into that same idea, adding her own layer to it.
It enriches the meaning, knowing that connection. Okay, then the "if this world were" line comes back. Does it hit differently now after those verses?
Oh, absolutely. The first time, it's kind of a wish, a hypothetical maybe.
Yeah, general.
But now, after hearing about facing enemies before God, about concrete flowers struggling to grow,
It feels heavier.
way heavier.
Less like a fantasy.
Right. More like this deep, deep yearning for a world where that kind of struggle isn't the norm. Or at least a world where resilience is rewarded and justice, actually happens.
So each time they repeat it, it gains weight from what came before.
Exactly. It gets richer, more complex. Then things get a bit more intimate.
Yeah, the line's like, "Come in and put that on my titty."
Small, very sensual. But you mentioned the word soul.
Right, because, okay, on one level, yes, it's physical, direct desire.
Clear.
But adding soul right at the end, that lifts it, doesn't it? It suggests something beyond just the physical, a deeper connection emerging.
Like a vow.
Sort of feels like it, yeah. Put that on my soul.
Yeah.
It's like offering your deepest self, recognizing that this moment, this connection, is profoundly important. It's not just casual, it's meaningful.
It's claiming that significance,
Yeah.
asserting that this matters.
Exactly. In a world that can feel indifferent, maybe even hostile, finding and claiming those moments of deep connection, it can feel almost sacred, like it has real spiritual weight.
And then you get the lines about the car, the crown, the wrist. Rari, red, crown, stack, wrist, stay. Froze. Really. Sounds like typical hip-hop flexing at first glance. It does, yeah. You hear that a lot. Celebrating success, the material stuff.
But you think there's more.
Well, think about the context. Everything they've just talked about, the struggles, the resilience, the concrete flowers.
Okay.
Maybe those things aren't just flexing. Maybe they're symbols, tokens of victory.
Ah, like proof.
Exactly. Proof of overcoming adversity. The red Ferrari isn't just a car. It's maybe a symbol of making it despite the odds. The crown stack isn't just money. Maybe it's earned respect, authority won through struggle. They become markers of the journey.
That changes how you hear those lines completely. They become like trophies earned in battle.
Yeah, something like that. Testaments to survival and success. Then Kendrick comes back in. If it was up to me, I wouldn't give these no sympathy. I'd take away the pain. I'd give you everything. That feels raw.
Very raw, like pure emotion pouring out.
It really does. And this is where that mix we talked about, the rage and the tenderness, really hits hard. There's this fierce protectiveness, this absolute loyalty to the person he's talking to.
Yeah, I'd give you everything.
Right. This intense desire to shield them, protect them from pain, provide everything. It's so strong. Especially right after talking about enemies and fire. It shows the depth of feeling both the anger towards harm and the overwhelming love for the protected one.
It's like, because I know how bad it can be out there, I want only good for you.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Then SZA's final verse, it ends so quietly, almost. Vulnerable. I know you're coming for anything. You said that felt like a surrender to hope. What do you mean by that?
Tell me more about that.
Well, after all the talk of fighting, surviving, wanting a different world,
Yeah.
that last line feels like this quiet acknowledgement. Like, okay, challenges are still going to come. That's inevitable.
Right. Coming for anything.
But there's also this feeling of trust, acceptance. Like, she knows things are coming, but there's an underlying belief in their connection, a quiet confidence that they'll face whatever it is together. So it's a surrender, yeah, but not giving up. It's surrendering to hope, to the strength of their bond.
Wow. Okay. So pulling all these threads together, all these layers, interpretations, what's the big takeaway? What's the core message of Luther?
I think what makes Luther so powerful is that it refuses to be simple.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you choose.
Choose between what?
Between, like, fighting back and loving someone. Between wanting justice, maybe even vengeance, and showing tenderness and compassion.
Ah, I see.
It holds space for all of it. The anger, the love, the strength, the vulnerability. It's that you can be all those things at once.
Yeah.
It's about navigating a really tough world with everything you've got. driven by wanting justice, but also fueled by this deep capacity to love and protect. It mirrors the complexity of being human, really, especially when facing hardship.
So way, way more than just a love song. It's a statement, a declaration of how they'd operate, how they'd protect if the world was theirs.
Exactly that. It's their complex, layered answer to that opening question, if this world were mine.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive then. Luther emerges as this really potent declaration, doesn't it? It's like they're saying, if this world were mine, yeah, I'd do better. I'd build something better. I'd fight when I had to, forgive when I could.
Absolutely. And it's not just wishful thinking, right?
Yeah.
As we've seen through the lyrics, the music, the layers, they're actively grappling with the world as it is. They're offering their own vision, rewriting it in a way, one verse at a time.
Which kind of brings it back around to the start, and to everyone listening. After digging into Luther, thinking about all these complexities, we have to ask again, if this world was truly yours, what's the one thing you would change? Keep in mind that Balance, Kendrick, and SZA explore the strength and the softness, the justice, and the compassion.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. But hopefully, seeing how deep the layers can go in a song like Luther gives a richer appreciation, not just for the track itself, but for how artists today can weave together the personal, the political, the spiritual, all of it to make us think.